Hey, thanks for joining me today on Just Cook with Michael. Today, after watching this video, you're going to learn how to make gnocchi with a sun-dried tomato pesto cream sauce. So last week I showed you how to make a homemade sun-dried tomato pesto. Refer to that video if you want to try this yourself. Today we're going to incorporate that into an actual dish. So I have some gnocchi all the way from Italy. My daughter was there studying abroad. That's why this package is kind of torn up. It came over in her luggage. So we have some gnocchi, some cream, sun-dried tomatoes, Asiago cheese, almonds. Remember this pesto, the sun-dried tomato pesto I made with almonds, so that's going to be part of the garnish. I have some more whole sun-dried tomatoes as garnish, some cherry tomatoes, some butter, some chives, and I have some pio pino mushrooms. Stems are a little tough, so I'm just going to use the caps off of these. But after I make the gnocchi, I'm also going to show you two other ways at the end of this video to incorporate sun-dried tomato into pasta dishes. So here we go. Okay, now we're just going to decap the pio pino mushrooms. So I'm just going to take off the caps here. I am going to saute these mushrooms. Since I've turned on my flame, I'm using about a teaspoon of whole butter. Put in my pio pinos. Some fresh ground black pepper. This is medium heat. I'm turning it down to low, just don't want to burn my butter. Always have spoons handy to taste since I've never had these before. Wow, that's really good. I'm going to salt the pasta water. Okay, for this package of gnocchi, it's about 400 grams. That is about a little less than a pound. So this is probably good for 2 people. For that, I'm going to put in about a cup of cream. Figure that's a decent ratio, about a cup of cream for 2 people. You want to season that with salt. I'm going to start off with about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Again, cream will usually quadruple in volume, so use a much bigger pan. And that's the way to tell when your cream's thickening. When it leaves that trail behind, it's getting thicker. Again, when you're working with cream, kind of like right away, just kind of play with it. You could tell like more watery there, and as it boils, it'll just get thicker and thicker, eventually turning into like a really thick syrup, which is usually you don't want it at that stage. Again, always taste. I have spoons nearby. That is good. It does not need any more salt. I'm going to turn off the flame because I think it's already thick enough. See, it's almost like the longer it takes for that trail to fill in, the thicker your sauce is. I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of sun-dried tomatoes. This is according to your preference. And then just kind of work that into your sauce. Again, if your sauce gets too thick, which it's always best to go slow, and also, like right now, my gnocchi's not even done yet. So, but I'm getting my sauce ready, so when the gnocchi's ready, everything's ready to go. But it's good to have it a little thinner because you always get thicken it up really quick. And as it cools down, cream also gets a little thicker. So if it does get too thick on you, you could put a few drops of water, anywhere from 1 teaspoon to 3 teaspoons. You also could add in more cream. That smells so good. Now we have our pasta water for the gnocchi. We have the water boiling. Now we're going to put in the gnocchi. This should go fairly quick. Okay, they've been floating for a while. It usually takes about 4 minutes. It's been about 3, just about ready to pull them off, put them directly in our sun-dried tomato pesto cream sauce. A lot of times it's good not to rinse off your pasta, just to put it, let it drip from your strainer or colander, but put it right into your sauce because it's very starchy on the exterior of the pasta when you cook it, and it just helps either thicken sauces or helps the sauce to adhere to what you just made. Turn it off, and that is all set. Okay, now we're going to incorporate some other pasta. This pasta is not going to have any cream sauce. It is just going to be tossed straight with the sun-dried tomato pesto, garnished and served. Okay, now I'm sauteing some cherry tomatoes in a little extra virgin olive oil with a little salt and pepper. I'll saute them over medium-low heat for about 15 minutes, where the skin begins to blister. They open up a little bit, but they remain intact. I just think it's really flavorful, and it makes a beautiful garnish. Okay, I'm going to reserve my garnished cherry tomatoes on a little side dish. I'm going to deglaze with a little water. Again, there's a lot of goodness in there. See that beautiful caramelized flavor from the sugars and the tomato. Now I'm going to put in a tablespoon of sun-dried tomato mixture, a little fresh parsley, turn off the fire, some fresh chives. Now I just put my pasta directly in the sun-dried tomato mixture. Again, there's no butter here, there's no cream, just the deglazed pan with water. You could deglaze with a little white wine also if you like, or Marsala wine would be good. Even deglazing with a little bit of balsamic vinegar would be tasty. And that's it. Really simple dish. You made that sun-dried tomato ahead of time. It could be frozen. Press your family. You cook pasta in 10 minutes and little sun-dried tomato. You really made something special. Like I said in my previous video, usually I don't put cheese in the actual sun-dried tomato pesto. When I make it, I like to reserve the cheese to put on the dish in the last minute, because sometimes cheese, when it gets really hot, can separate and it becomes oily. Okay, the final dish here, we're going to toast some almonds. It's kind of a garnish. See, about a tablespoon per person. I kind of did a rough chop. You want the flame to be pretty low because this is whole butter. Whole butter could burn very easily, so you want it to be about as low as it could go. A couple important things with nuts and cheese, a lot of times it's good to incorporate it at the very end. If you make nuts in advance and you mix it into like a casserole, then serve it before your guests get there, they just get soggy. So to me, it's best to toast whatever nuts you're using, keep them on the side, and right before service, sprinkle the nuts all over whatever you're serving. That butter's already turning brown. Some of the nuts are already turning brown. It's looking good. So I'm going to take that off, turn that off completely, because the butter is nice and brown. It's getting a dark brown, and I don't want it to burn. Now I am just waiting for my pasta to finish cooking, and when my pasta is done cooking, I will put in about a tablespoon of sun-dried tomato into this mixture, into the butter almond mixture, saute, incorporate my pasta, plate, sprinkle with a little Asiago cheese. Okay, the pasta is done cooking. I'm going to put in about a little less than a tablespoon of sun-dried tomato pesto straight into this nut and butter mixture. And again, that's all that's in here is a little butter and toasted almonds. It smells incredible. I'll get out my pasta. A little fresh parsley. All right, now after this video, you know how to incorporate the sun-dried tomato pesto into a few dishes. We have the gnocchi with the sun-dried tomato pesto cream sauce and the pepino mushrooms. Then we have some pasta that was tossed just with the straight sun-dried tomato pesto, no butter, no cream, garnished with some sauteed cherry tomatoes. They're almost like a roasted cherry tomatoes, the way they come out, where they're all blistered and delicious. Then after, the third pasta with the sun-dried tomato was in a butter sauce. So we browned the butter with almonds. Then after, put in some sun-dried tomato pesto, toss that. Just a few different ways you could go with this dish. Thanks for joining me today on Just Cook with Michael. Now go cook with someone you love.